please, if you have any comments during the webinar, maybe you cannot hear anything or something like that, or you have a technical question, you can key it into Q&A, but we will not stop and answer technical questions during the webinar. We'll do that at the end. So, yeah, the other one is resource list. I don't think we have anything uploaded actually on this particular one, so it's not relevant. Yeah, helpful tip. So one thing is quite bandwidth intensive, and I just realized myself, I'm switching off my Outlook now, and actually I'm switching off everything that is talking over the net because it's bandwidth intensive. And if you like a certificate for this, or you need one, there is a way to log on to learn.bentley.com and create a profile, which is free of charge. And then you can set up your own learning history and print the certificate from there. If you have any problems with that, you can email either myself or one of the colleagues. They can help you with that if you get stuck with that process. But now let's get started. So today we're going to talk about, so this is the last actually in a sequence of 3 webinars where we talk about water wastewater solutions from Bentley systems. The first and the second one we had last week and the week before, they're still available. You can view them as recordings if you like to go back. If you don't find it again, ping me or on my LinkedIn page as well. And yeah, today we're going to focus on the construction aspect of water wastewater. And for that, with us today here is Ivan Pribadi, who is a global expert in this field, and we've worked together on projects in the Philippines and elsewhere. So he's the real expert. I'm more like a generalist, I would say, in the field of software for infrastructure. I'm based in Singapore, covering Southeast Asia, and Ivan is based in Jakarta, but covering the world. And yeah, just before, in the other webinars, we had one on with focus on treatment plant and a bit of overview, and another one we focused on the network. Now, when we're coming to construction, actually, the principles would apply for both the network and the plant. So the plant itself would follow more like a buildings concept. Also to highlight, as Bentley, we have a full life cycle approach. And so we're starting, we have solutions from early stage analysis until going through design, construction, and then decommissioning. And what we're talking about today is at the top right-hand corner. You see, this is the bottom right. Well, actually, also top right. Yep. So we're covering costing as well as construction management, and this actually goes all the way to commissioning as well. Yeah, so here's a view of these different solutions in another way. So the solutions we cover is from geotechnical, then buildings and the piping and all of that. When we talk about Syncro and the 4D simulation, we can actually simulate most things, but of course geotechnical, whilst it's possible, there's not such a focus, right? We're focusing more on civil structures and building type structures or plant structures. These are the typical structures we're doing the 4D simulation, construction management, and so on for. But actually, you can also simulate earthworks, cut and fill, and so on. Yeah, that is that focus. And a few things on later. Ivan is going to talk a little bit more on the Syncro approach or the construction approach to the common data environment. Just to highlight that we have project-wise for the design and construction stages as the repository for all engineering data and documents, and then for operations that would migrate into an asset-wise. But this is for the operations documents, which is more focused, as the word says, for operators. Now the connected data environment, or others call it common data environment, is a CDE. That one actually plugs into the construction CDE. Ivan will explain a bit later how that works. But what it does is it gives everybody access to all the data and documents related to the engineering project. And so this means you can also control who has read-only rights, who is author of what, and then you have revisioning control as well. So you can see which revision was the latest. You have a full history, who accessed what when, and the review process can also be managed in here as well. So we'll later see, so this is a more like a design workflow I'm now discussing, but this can plug into the construction as well. Yeah, just another view on the project-wise, the common data environment for design construction, and then the migration into asset-wise for the operational phases. And a few things on digital twin, which is actually related to all of these, because the digital twin also lives in this accessible cloud-based sphere. And there was a bit of a discussion when this came up, is the digital twin replacing CAD or BIM concepts? And the answer, clearly the consensus is no, that the digital twin is actually bringing in all the CAD information and BIM and other data you have that is relevant for the engineering during design. And actually, that is very relevant for the construction phases as well. I've myself worked on large construction projects, and there I had to deal with the fact that so many different subcontractors had different formats that came together, and it was sometimes quite challenging to, bring in models or other data from different vendors. And the digital twin is actually, the iModel Hub is actually our solution to deal with that and bring all different data models and data together in one environment and restructure the data, even different data schema that in a plant world, right? You could have the plant data schema from the process plant, and the building around might follow or would probably follow an IFC schema, which is like Kobe based. And a pipe might be classified like this over here and like that over here. But in the digital twin environment, we can manage that. Now, with this, I think I'm already at the point passing over to Ivan, who's going to focus in on the 4D construction simulation in more detail. Yeah, Ivan, over to you.
Thank you, Dominique.
Hello, Ivan. Yeah.
Let me push these next slides. Yes, can you hear me, Dominique?
Yes, we can hear you and see you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you and we can see you.
Okay, just make sure, because I wasn't here. Okay, thank you. So, thank you, guys, for joining these webinar sessions. In today's sessions, I would like to share the practical side of the digitalization in constructions, how you can actually create digital twin for construction, how it helps the project, plan, track, how you can use it to manage your tasks and performance, to allow the project to basically save money and for, our users to be able to win more projects. So let's get things started. So I have a couple of slides to basically position, what is it that we're seeing with the industry? So what are the needs that we learn working with many users globally, right? So we came to consensus. Basically, many of the users actually share similar needs, right? They are facing similar challenges. They are typically, what they typically want is, I want to be able to basically trust my execution plan in the field, but then I want to make sure that, you know, my plan can be updated and with progress and keep it up to date anytime, right? And at the same time, you know, they also want to be able to manage resources that usually spread over a very large area of a project area, right? Or very complex area of a project. Yeah. So with that, you know, we want to basically provide our users with a reliable solutions like Syncro, like what we're gonna go over with today, to improve how their plan or users plan, track and monitor the project, and then how we can help our users to collaborate and coordinate, right, between field to the office and vice versa, back and forth. Now, with that, you know, we want to make sure the information is accurate. We need to pay attention on the accessibility, the tools that we will deploy. You know, we do different things within Syncro to help facilitate that thing. Our hope is by providing our users with a proper tool to manage their project better. You know, we want our users to be able to drive the performance of the project and then making the project be more predictable. At the same time, you know, we want our users to be able to manage the risk and the commercial outcomes of the projects. Therefore, they can win more projects. Now, how do we do this thing? Okay. Now let's start with Syncro. Question often asked by users, because many of our users know Syncro as a 4D tool, but Syncro has grown in the last 2 years into more wider approach, more capabilities being added to the software. So Syncro by definition is now a single integrated platform for digital construction management, right? Syncro is the digital twin for construction. So we're gonna go into this, what is this, in the next slide. Now, our intent with Syncro, when we create Syncro, when we develop Syncro, is to provide our users or the projects clear line of sight of the project anytime and anywhere. So let's spend a few minutes to discuss and talk about the construction digital twin. So if you're talking about digital twin, there are 3 keywords at the bottom of the slides that we have to understand, right? So these are the basic understanding keywords of the digital twin. In order to explain this, I'm going to start with the middle. So Syncro, as Dominique has described earlier, is the connected data environment at the center, right? Users will basically connect system and data to Syncro. Could be your project schedules, could be your 3D design model, your
Hi all, I think Ivan might have had a internet interruption right now. Can you, if anyone can hear him, can you, in the Q&A, can you say you hear him or you don't hear him? Because I think he might be interrupted. Yeah, it looks like he's cut off. Okay, I'm gonna carry on a bit from here. So he's just pinging me. Yeah, so Ivan was here explaining that this, what I was mentioning before as the common data environment, the central repository. Here we're looking at the central repository, which is also the digital twin repository for construction. And what I was explaining before, the more general design, the design CDE is basically what we see here at the left. You see that box there, that gray left box. That is basically where we hosting, or where we put all our design and engineering data, and that connects via a connector to the construction digital twin environment. So by doing that, we actually have access to all the design data and we can use it for construction, but we have somehow a separate entity for construction because we're doing things like we're dissecting the models that come from the engineers. For example, if we have a concrete column that is cast in different pours, that might change during construction, but we don't want to change the BIM models. So this is why we have this construction digital twin here in the center. And
sound check. Dominique, can you hear me now?
Yeah. I just explained a bit more about the digital twin and how it relates to the CDE, the project-wise on the left here, how that feeds into your central. Okay, then you take over again. I go off again.
Sounds good. Yeah, sounds good. All right. I apologize, guys. Let me continue. So once you get the data and federate those in to Syncro Cloud, then those data will be available for the rest of the project team consumption in almost in a near real time. So this is what we call with the continuously synchronized, right? So in and out in a very short time. Then this also gives you the huge benefit because now the project can make the data-driven decision to basically very, very quickly, in which will improve the project outcomes and the performance, right? Now, let's look at on the right-hand side. What else can you do with the data inside the Syncro Digital Twin Cloud? So if you want to get access to the data, you can actually use our API to get the data out. Or if you want to do more reporting capability with Power BI, we have what we call the Power BI connector. It's like an API, but it's Power BI connector, where you can actually feed your Power BI and do more advanced reporting than what we offer within the software, right? This data eventually can be handed over to any asset management system, or if you're using AssetWise from Bentley, we can get that data out through ProjectWise and ProjectWise to AssetWise. When there is a need for better cinematic visualization type out of Syncro, you don't have to recreate your project. You can basically share your project to Lumen RT with Bentley, and then you can create the cinematic rendering visualization using the Lumen RT. Enough about the digital twin stuff. Now, what is the real outputs from using Syncro? So Syncro, like I said earlier, is no more just a 4D planning tool, right? So from 4D to 5D, you can do this with Syncro. So the difference between 4D and 5D in general is, when you do 4D, you are basically managing and tracking your project against time, right? You basically, this is my task, this is when I have to install and finish, and then you track against that time. Now, 5D offers more flexibility because now you can not only track against time, you can actually track it against your budget. So in this case, when you use Syncro for the 5D, then you can actually generate control budget to track against, right? So all that tools is now inclusive with your Syncro subscription. Now, what about in the field? Can you use Syncro for field executions, right? We know that in the field during constructions, users will basically record field data like issues, safety or quality incident that you want to record. You want to raise RFI to different things, right? Maybe the design has a problem that you want to raise RFI back to the design team during construction. That's okay too. You can use Syncro with it. You want to document your as-built that you find in the field. That's perfect because you can do PDF markup in Syncro to document your as-built and send back, right? Or you simply just want to produce the daily report and many different things. So those are what I consider the task management inside Syncro, right? Now, to make sure that everyone is always on the same page with the project, the progress, and the performance, we have performance management module inside Syncro now to provide deep analytic into your cost, schedule, and resources data, right? Syncro Perform is what it's called, provides basically easy to read dashboard where you can interact with. So it's a live dashboard. You can drill down into details whenever you need it, whenever you require to do. So all of this, I will explain, in the next slides, one boxes to another, right? So we're going to start with the 4D. So you can see more detail what this is all about. All right, 4D planning is probably what Syncro was known before. The good thing now is this 4D planning is gaining more popularity and now becoming the new standard for delivering projects, right? It's not only because it's beautiful, but it's also the benefits that it's offered, right? So there are three basic ingredients to create the 4D model. You need model, schedule, and resources. So three basic ingredients. Now, Syncro comes with full CPM schedule. So anything you do in Syncro, you can basically schedule activity in Syncro. You can run the calculation in Syncro without you need to go off from Syncro to other software, right? So with that, Syncro support different scheduling data like Microsoft Project, Primavera P6, and different things. And then we also support different 3D design model data, right? So on the right-hand side of this. Now, the process in creating 4D planning is very simple. You basically, first you need to aggregate your 3D design and then federate them into Syncro. Once you get it in there, you simply add the time from the schedule, right? And then the resources. Then from there, you can start creating your 4D planning. Simple as that. So as a result, project can see visually how the plan is being executed in the field, but in the digital environment first, right? You haven't gone to the field yet. So with that, you can actually start your analyze. You can analyze your schedules early on. And also you can do this in different stages. You can start finding issues with your schedules and then try to mitigate those in more proactive way. Rather than you go in the field and being reactive to the issues, right? Now, 4D planning is not only good for detailed planning, but also you can do it at the high level. So it's very flexible to do. So from the safety and coordination point of view, right? This slide talks about how users can improve their ability to use this or technology to rehearse critical operation, for example, to improve the safety and coordination for sure. Now, MWH here is actually, allowing their supply chains and involving them to the planning process, right? So there is no surprises from fabrication and then the shipping of the equipment and the skids and the materials all the way until when they're installing the equipments. So they all work in the same shared 4D model so that there's no surprises at site whether this thing will fit into the opening or not, right? So this basically, this approach improving many things, right? They are more precise in their field executions. So they are now able to perform the job right at the first time. So let's move on to the 5D part of Syncro. What do we have in 5D? Syncro users with the subscription, basically they have access to the Syncro Model application that allowing our users to do cost planning, right? But I want to make sure I reemphasize that our 5D tools focuses on the transformations of the 3D design model into construction model, right? So first you have 3D design, now you want to create the construction model. Why we call it construction model? Because sometimes design this wall, for example, as one piece, or maybe a large slab as one piece. But then this doesn't make sense to construction because you need to be able to schedule or plan according to your pour sequences. Now, Syncro Model allow you to do that. Then, not only that, right? After you break it up into section of pours, you can also associate the model to the cost account or cost codes, right? And then it also gives you the ability to calculate the quantity, the takeoff, the volume of this concrete, for example, right? The purpose for this is so that after you created the real construction model, it will help you to do more accurate planning, your budgeting, and then more accurate controlling of the project, right? The good thing about this, the model that is being used here is basically the same shared model that sits in the control hub in Syncro, right? So once you finish, the construction data that you generate here with your takeoff, cost code, all those we call it construction data, will be saved back to the cloud and will be accessible to be used for other Syncro applications like Syncro Pro or even Syncro Control or Syncro Field. Yeah, so this is the concept of it, basically. Still in 5D, so we also have in Syncro feature to manage design change because we know project will not go without design change. How do we manage this, right? So the tool will detect basically and color code the new components with green here, right? It also detect components in the model that are being modified or removed as red, right? This thing affecting our users, for example, contractor or the projects, because this affecting costs, right? You can go up or down with your quantity. So the process for this, we make it ad hoc, basically, allowing you to do change management and allow you to make the call whether you're going to accept the new changes and accept the quantity as a result of it, or you want to keep the old one, right? So that's the basically change management process that you have to go through so that your costs will be up to date. Then this will make sure your schedule will be up to date too with the new quantity. Okay. The last part of the 5D tool within Syncro is the earned value management. There are two ways you can do earned value management in Syncro, right? The first one is the model base. where you actually create your S-curve directly on the 4D tools. So you will see as you play back your schedule, you will see that basically the cost or the earned value will go up against time, right? The other way in Syncro, there's another way, which is tabular approach. This one is more of a dashboard approach in Syncro. You can see on the right side. So if you look at this green bar actually representing your production target. Then you can start logging your earned work or the actual work, either earned or actual you will be able to log it in. So the black bar there representing the actual. You can see the actual can be up or below your production target, right? Then the S-curve will be drawn out accordingly, right? So this is two ways to do this earned value management within Syncro. So let's look at different aspect of Syncro in the field. What do we do? How do we use Syncro in the field? Now, if you look at 4D planning and 5D planning, from our perspective, those are the office work, right? Project control team will do it, scheduler will do it, right? Then the real users of your plan really is the field people. That's the real user of it, right? So what we do is, 4D is not only benefiting the office really, or the project in the office, but if you deploy this thing to the field, right? When users actually finding issues in the field, for example, they have a design issues or they saw something broken that need repair, right? They can actually, using iPad or cell phone, they can actually start creating issue ticket in the form. So we have form technology within Syncro that you can do that. Now, this form information, you can actually write the information back to the 4D model. So how we do it is basically, we will read the location where you at from the GPS in your device, right? So it will place that exact location. So as you see in the 3D model picture here, you will see the exact spot where you found your issues. So when you push your issues or different form data back into the digital workflow, the responsible person who are responsible to respond to these issues will know exactly what you're talking about. So the communications is streamlined and become clearer. Okay? So this one benefit of it. Now, how do we track all this stuff? In a project, you're going to have tons of this thing. You will file many of this. So we have a dashboard that track the workflow, digital workflow for every forms, right? So you can actually interact with this dashboard. You can do filter. You can do sort based on the priority, or you can actually see, okay, how many is basically sitting on someone's desk for more than 30 days. Now, the idea here is this will help you manage the issues in the project and remove the unnecessary delay that are caused by this. So anyone will have access to this and they can see, okay, this guy's still sitting on this thing and I have to go chase him up to make sure this thing is moving correctly, right? So this is one of the tools that you can use to manage it. Still in the field, so we got plenty of field tool that you can use. So we just deployed this thing about 2 or 3 weeks ago. So this is what we call the photo indexing services, or some people call it Media Explorer. Basically, we understand that every project will take a tons of photos, right? Because photos really is the proof of everything, right? So when you see safety violation, you'll take pictures. You see design deficiency, you take pictures. Now, why do we do this? Is because when you load hundreds or thousands of pictures, how do you query them? How do you find what you need? So with that, we do a few things. We allow you to basically add comments or tagging the photos, and we make that searchable, right? So we have a search bar that you can search your tags. Not only that, we actually use the GPS location from your device and basically spread your photo according to the GPS locations on the map. So you can always go back to the exact location and then look at some pictures in there, and you can pull the one that you need, right? But also we actually implemented the cognitive photo classification services, which actually is an AI that will look at the pictures and automatically categorize the photos according to the what the software is seeing. For example, if you have a pictures with the excavation hole, you can simply search using keywords hole, and then it will pull all the photos with holes. Simple like that, right? So we added a few things like this to help you document and search the photos from the field. Now, as you notice, there are a lot of data that you will continue to produce during constructions, right? Now, how do we display the data? This is just a few ideas that I want to show you guys, basically using a simple filtering and color coding things using Syncro. So in this example, you can filter an area, for example, and then color code based on the statuses of delivery of the equipment in this case, or the statuses of installation of a piles, right? You can simply color code this in Syncro and then display, and the result of this is huge. It's a very simple process, but it's huge because you can see the trend. If you look at on the right-hand side there with complicated piping, you can see the trend right away, right? Whether this, if you look at the whole project, you can see the trend, whether this project is moving in the right direction or not. So this sort of thing you can do with the data rich in the background. So let's move on to the progressing. There are two ways how you would track the progress within Syncro. Number one, on the left side, you can do it using the model base, right? When you track the installation progress using model base, you simply carry an iPad or a cell phone, because cell phone and iPad will work. Now, you will be assigned to a task, basically activity in the schedules or a package of work, basically, that you can filter in your device. Once you filter your work, the next step is basically applying preset color coding, like red is installed, red is, here is the rebar being installed, blue is poured, green is basically form is set, right? So you basically look at the work and then you apply the color coding according to the preset work steps. Then the next step is basically synchronize this back to the server. Then the scheduler in the office or the project control in the office, they will basically see your color within like 10 to 15 minutes, right? So if you do this on a daily basis, when they show up the next day, everything will be colorized. Or if you want to wait for 15 minutes to see, that you can do so also. Then the next step for the scheduler is, okay, how can I translate this color coding into percent completed the task? So that with small configuration, you can actually press a button in Syncro in the Pro, then you can actually calculate the percent complete of the task of the scheduled activities. And that's all it is. Now notice that, you cannot really track the actual placement of a concrete, whether this foundation is 100 yards, but I'm putting 105, really, So to do that, some users ask us, how can I log my quantity based on the actual? Today, I'm placing 100 cubic yards of concrete. Tomorrow, I'm placing 25. The next day, I'm placing 200. So with that, we have Syncro Perform that has also a field app that you can carry. But this example in the slide, especially the web version of it, you simply log in the quantity against the cost account or against the scheduled activity on a daily basis. It'll keep track on every day the actual placement of quantity that you actually did, right? So with that, you can actually simply, very easy for Syncro Perform to translate that into beautiful S-curve. Still about tracking. So tracking doesn't stop with tracking quantity or man hours, right? Tracking will also, we also allow our users to track resources, right? So for resources, we call it resource management tool within Syncro. For example, you want to track your equipment usage. This is the perfect example, right? I'm using this excavator for this activity for 3 hours a day. Then other account use the same excavator for different work, different activity in the schedules for 2 hours. So you are allowed basically share equipments. So basically what you do at Syncro is you create like a timesheets. So your resources would be the equipment name, right? And then you actually just simply log in the time you use the equipment for different cost accounts. If you put the resources as a person name, basically is a human resource, this will actually generate, you can really use this for your timesheet reporting. Now, maybe your project, your company already have a timesheet in the system, but feel free to take a look at this because these are included in your subscription with Syncro 4D. Mixed reality is one of the questions I was most asked. And in Syncro, we want to stick with the basic, basically. So we can actually bring in your point cloud information using, context captures. And then we can actually connect to the context capture server as long as you have geolocation in your point cloud model and also geolocation in your 4D model. Those two should line up perfectly, right? What we add here in the viewer within Syncro Control is basically a bar, a line in the middle there that you can drag left and right to display the point cloud data on top of your 4D model. But your 4D model, you can still see, you can still play back. So you can stop at any time and you can see color coding in there and you can overlay basically your reality mesh data on top of it to see whether it's true or not, right? So this is one neat features that really minimal implementation process that you can just take advantage of when you have Syncro with you. So now we arrive at, okay, now I have planned my job, I manage with 5D and 4D, and then I did my field management process. Then now let's come to the inspections, right? When you are nearing completions, then, you can actually deploy inspection form within Syncro that you can deploy as early as you want. We have a template that you can simply just modify the questionnaires that are in there, right? Some users said, okay, I like to build my own. Can I do that? The answer is yes. You can completely customize and design the form, as required. You can apply also digital workflow. So you can actually send this to someone for approval process. Then this also will help hand over digitally your project to the owner, basically. So now we arrive at the performance management analytics, right? Syncro Perform provide this huge interactive dashboard that will help you
I think Ivan is frozen again. Oh,
see
he
where
might
you
come
at
back.
anytime in the project.
I think Ivan is on and off. Ivan, I think you have a bandwidth issue right now. Basically, what Ivan is describing here is this sort of Power BI type filter. I sometimes describe this as a filter over what the project data is and give to the management or people who take high-level decisions an overview of the project. And you can basically take any sort of aspect, quantities complete, or how many RFIs are still open, or anything like this. You can display in this sort of user-friendly or this sort of chart or display style that would suit the management.
Thank you, Dominique. Am I back?
Yeah, you're back. I just explained a bit more on this Power BI high-level view, but maybe repeat because I might have missed something.
Yes, that's cool. That's cool. So what I want to highlight here really is, you can actually drill down to the cost account. For example, I want to get a good view of my site work or my foundation work. You can actually drill down to that account and then drill up and down, basically based as required by you. Basically, I want to see more detail. You can simply do that. One other thing that I want to highlight is, Syncro Perform actually recognize, cut-off reporting, right? You can set the project. For example, my project reporting is by every last Friday of the month. You can set it up so that it will produce the correct number based on that cutoff date, right? So this is basically, views of the performance management within Syncro that you can take advantage and make sure your project is heading to the right direction. So who are Syncro users, right? Who uses Syncro? So not about the brand name here, the company names here, but I'm talking about at the bottom here, really, if, Syncro has been used by owners, contractors, subcontractors, suppliers, fabricators, design consultant, project managers, PMCs, right? They all using different part of Syncro. Syncro solution is quite wide, right? So they use different part of Syncro, different workflows, whatever, you like to solve basically, and use in different department. Maybe one company department, this department using different part of Syncro, their department using different part of Syncro, that is possible. So let's look at my last slide here before we go to Q&A. So I'm also watching my clock. So today, basically, our Syncro construction platform spans many workflows across the construction life cycles, right? Syncro products include field, Syncro control, Syncro perform, Syncro cost, and Syncro 4D, right? So depending on your workflow, what you want to solve that will help your project the most, right? You don't have to subscribe everything, right? So Syncro product can be deployed separately. We have various level of integration between product lines, right? So what you need to think about is, okay, looks like this color coding is neat. That will help me see my project better. So that's really easy to deploy, right? So it's no complication at all. So look at what is going to give you the biggest bang of the buck, basically, right? So one thing I want to say about the subscription, so that everybody's clear. Our subscription in Syncro, we call it hierarchical, meaning when you actually buy Syncro control, you got Syncro field access with you. So if you buy Syncro 4D, this is the very far right. You got control, cost, perform, control, and field. Yeah, so it's hierarchical. So you need to go from left to right, basically. Now, just caveat to this, Syncro cost is gonna be available in H2 this year. So we are in the EAP process right now. So soon after that finish, they should be available for the general release. Okay, so I guess I will return this back to Dominique. Sorry for these, connection issues because it's really dark here in Jakarta. So maybe my internet connection is not very good today. Back to you, Dominic.
Sorry, I was muted. Yeah, so just to, I just put up here the Q&A. Sorry, before the Q&A, I put up this the survey whether you would like to be contacted by Bentley sales representative, yes or no. I think this was now up for 10 seconds already. Sorry, I had just my microphone muted while I was talking. And actually, I was talking to Ivan, asking Ivan if, yeah, I was just human error. I had my microphone muted while talking for a few seconds. So anyway, okay. Ivan, I was asking you if you had a look at the questions, because I think some of these questions were already sort of answered.
Sure.
Yeah, if you go from, there's one from Turner and Townsend and then up, I think maybe you have a quick look if there's more you can say about that.
Sure.
I can say about SCS already. Actually, I can answer SCS one. Is the bidirectional import-export to Primavera and MS Project? Yes, it is bidirectional. So you can push from Primavera the schedule to Syncro and then into the model, and vice versa. That bidirectional workflow is possible. Now, Ivan, do you have anything to add to the question from Turner and Townsend?
Yeah, so it's bidirectional import-export. Yes. So we support bidirectional for Primavera, not Microsoft Project. Okay. So for Primavera, you can import XML files and export back. Or if you rather use the Primavera API, we can connect to the database directly from Syncro to Primavera. So you don't have to import and export files, right? So basically you can connect the two together. So the good thing, many people do it this way, because the good thing is, when you are planning and you are seeing your 4D, you want to make adjustment to your logics, adding, modifying tasks or deleting tasks. You can do all that within your 4D tool like Syncro, and then Primavera will synchronize to your Syncro. So that would be the ideal, right? MS Project, unfortunately, we can import the XML files, and that's one way.
Can you have a look at the other question? How
yes, I have one. Yep.
The one about site progress. I think you already you talked about the site progress actually after this question came up. I think just after.
Okay, maybe. Right. Maybe
this
one.
I think this question came up just before you were explaining about the site progress, and you were explaining how you can actually go into the field with a handheld device and then input. This is 25% up or down, and then that would be fed back. Or you have the scanning comparison with the curtain, right? Like these are the two ways to compare.
Correct.
Actuals against planned.
Yeah. So I'm going to answer the next one here. Basically, the how do you do delay analysis? So as I mentioned earlier, right? In Syncro, we have the built-in CPM scheduling tool capability, so you can do critical path method calculation with your scheduled data. So like any other scheduling software, you can do float analysis to understand delay. you can also do a comparison between your schedule, your current one, to the baseline. In fact, in Syncro, we allow you to have 8 different scenario that you can run simultaneously. We got 8 different window you can open at the same time to compare between few schedules, few scenarios, right? So also, there are other tools in Syncro like calculating the schedule performance index or task performance index, also schedule health check, right? And then if you log in and using Syncro for your actual quantity that you want to progress, you can display that in Syncro. You can do it on the 4D model, or you can do it on the dashboard like environment with Syncro Perform. Rate of progress, you can enter in and use them, right? Plan status, concurrent delays. Yeah, so basically it's like any other thing. It's like any other scheduling software. Yeah. Any more specific you want to go over with, I'm happy to have our consultant to spend time with you and discuss with you into more detail.
Yeah, I think we're almost at the hour. So if we have 3 more minutes, actually. Oh, there's another question.
Right. So basically we need to follow up. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
we'll follow up.
Yeah, we can follow up. We'll follow up. Yeah. So if there are any more questions, if not, I think we can end it exactly on time. Yeah, thank you all very much for attending this. Ivan, do you have any final remarks?
No, I'm good. I just want to say again, I'm sorry with the internet connection from my home. It was not good today, apparently. It was okay this morning, but sometimes things happen. Apologize, and thank you for being patient.
Yeah, thank you. I don't think it was so bad, Ivan. And I talked to fill the gap, which,
thank you.
From my high level understanding, I'm not sure if you heard it. I hope it was accurate enough. I think so, because we've presented, we presented a few times together, right? Yeah.
Yep. Appreciate that.
Yeah, and I'm also sometimes supporting Syncro. Okay. So thank you very much. It's now exactly on the hour, and email us if you have further questions. We'll follow up the one that, the delay thing. And so that was the last of our water. Actually, one more thing, like the water series, right? We had a problem on the first one. I don't know if any of you had that. So we reshared the link of the first overview on the water series for the recording, but we're also going to repeat the live one on the 1st of July. We've decided, because the live one is always different than the recording. And that was actually, there were many participants. So we're going to repeat the first of the 3 series on the 1st of July. Okay. You'll
Sounds good.
You can see that. I'll post that on my LinkedIn as well. Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Bye to all.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.